This is Kevin Gausman, and you're listening to Jim on Base.
Perfect, thanks. Welcome back to another episode of the Jim on Base Show. We're here at the Coliseum with the great Kevin Gausman. Kevin, it's good to see you. Thanks for giving me a few minutes.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
And I think I saw you guys watching some of the London baseball game right now, so maybe one of these years you got to get over there, right?
Yeah, I mean, every time, it's kind of a running joke with my wife. Like, we haven't got to do anything cool, any of the teams I've been on. We haven't gone to Mexico or really anywhere, we just, but playing in Canada is cool, so we'll take that for now.
And you spoke on your wife there, so how did you meet your wife and how long have you been married?
Met her at LSU, my freshman year of college. We've been dating, she's 12-something years now. Been married for 7 of them, so have 2 little girls named Sadie and Sutton, 5 and 2.5, and so, yeah, she's great.
So you're doing the dad life, full on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's 2 daughters, so it's, lots of Barbies and babies and lots of emotions, too, so it's a handful for sure.
I imagine, do you pick like certain cities where they join you when you're not probably doing a lot of FaceTimes like now, right?
Yeah, lots of FaceTimes. Coming to the West Coast is hard for them. Time changes for little kids can be tough, especially on the parents. So, and being in a hotel is hard. So, they come on the road, but usually places that we know we're going to have some kind of space around us, yeah.
Now, last question on parenting. Are you kind of the enforcer then? Are you kind of the cool one? How do you play that role?
I'm definitely the cool one because I'm not around all the time, especially during the baseball season. So, when I see them, it's play, and, I'm a monster a lot. So, my wife, unfortunately, has to be the disciplinarian, so, but we're a good mix, and, like I said, she's great.
And one thing I thought was cool about you is you're from Colorado, and I went to the 2021 All-Star Game as a fan, and that was your first one, right? So it must have been cool to be in your hometown state.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I grew up in Aurora, Colorado, and baseball is not the biggest sport there, so for me to be an All-Star first off, but for it to be in Denver was really cool. And I didn't get to pitch, but, it also made it that much more fun. I kind of got to just sit back and enjoy it and kind of watch it. And, obviously had a lot of friends and family there.
Do you go around in those moments and, like, get the team signed balls or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's one thing I didn't really know about an All-Star game is how much they make you sign. Everybody gets a dozen baseballs and really whatever you want. They got a big table in the front, and whatever you want signed, you throw it on there, and they'll make sure that every player signs everything that's on there. And so, you definitely are not short of memorabilia after that. Yeah.
Well, who are you away from the game? Because I saw on your Instagram it says aspiring chef. So do you throw it down when you're home, or?
Yeah, I try to. I've always, it's kind of weird to say, I've always liked watching the Food Network, and when I was young I didn't understand why I liked to do that, but as I've got older I like to kind of find recipes and fine tune them. My wife years ago bought me a cookbook that I write my own recipes in, and I've always thought about going into culinary school when I'm done, not necessarily to become a chef, but more so for myself and for my family to just kind of be able to make whatever I want or whatever they want. I've always thought that would, be such a cool thing to be able to just, go to the grocery store. This is what I want tonight. All right, this is what I need. And it's kind of science, right? And so experimenting with different recipes has been kind of fun, and it's always something that in the off season I do a lot.
It's kind of like fashion too, I know. So you kind of learn what goes together, right? What you can and can't do.
Yeah, I don't have any fashion trends. I got zero fashion, but I can cook a little bit.
Well, when you aren't playing baseball too and you're not cooking, do you like listening to music? Like, who was your first concert and what kind of music are you into?
Oh, my first concert. That's a great question. I actually think it was at Red Rocks. It was Kid Cudi. Yeah, a little different kind of music, but yeah, I mean, I like, I've really gotten into old school rock. I mean, my walkout is Money by Pink Floyd. I love the Eagles. I mean, I kind of have got into that, really playing in San Francisco. I kind of got into that type of music and learning about all the bands that are obviously started in California. And, San Francisco was a huge part of, the hippie movement, obviously. And so some really great music has come out of that because of that. So, but country, growing up, I listened to a lot of Alan Jackson with my dad. But I also love oldies. I love Sam Cooke.
You hit the high notes.
Yeah, a lot of Beatles. I know a lot of Beatles. I mean, you put on an oldies radio station, I know majority of songs. Yeah.
Well, have you hit up the Fillmore then?
I haven't. No. I've unfortunately, we're just so busy during the season. Yeah.
Well, speaking of your time in San Francisco, I was curious. I know you had a good bond, and he's a friend of the show, Buster Posey. Yeah. So do you keep in contact with him? And I imagine, did he make a big impact on you to go for the rest of your career?
Yeah, I mean, I actually grew up a Giants fan, being in Denver, funny enough. I was such a huge Barry Bonds fan. One of my buddies' family was from San Jose, and so they were huge Giants fans. I always loved the ballpark over there, and kind of, that's kind of where I fell in love with baseball, was kind of watching the Giants play. And so to be able to play there was awesome. It's such a cool place. So yeah, to pitch to Buster was really cool because, like I said, I was, a fan of his. And so, we haven't stayed in contact. I know he's a busy man. He's got he's got 4 kids now, 5 kids. You can't keep up with them, but so he's busy, and he's out of baseball now. So I'm kind of letting him be, and but I can never say enough about how great Buster is. He's a pro's pro, and being able to kind of watch him in 21, his last year, was really cool because he was incredible that year too. So it was. It wasn't like he was going out on a bad note. He went out playing some of his best baseball.
And good point there on Buster. And last question here. I'm always curious. Guys usually have good stories when it comes to either their debut or like their call-up. So what kind of sticks with you more?
Yes, I actually debuted against the Blue Jays, which is kind of funny. And it was in Toronto. So I get called up from AA. And call my family, tell them I'm going to Toronto. They schedule all their flights, and they flew to Detroit or Chicago that day, and they were connecting to Toronto, and they canceled all the flights to Toronto for that day. And I didn't know any of this. My girlfriend at the time, my wife now, is like, yeah, your family's here. They're checking into the hotel. And I'm like, getting ready for the game. I'm like, all right, sweet, everybody's going to be here. Yeah. And they had to essentially like fly into Buffalo and then drive over, and brought their luggage straight to the hotel. Didn't even go up to their room. Just kind of ran straight upstairs and came straight to the game. And we're in the first row, and it's pretty cool now for me because 10 years later I'm playing for the Blue Jays, and so I've always kind of had a special place for Toronto, and now. I was 22 then, and now I'm, 33 with 2 kids and a wife, and living in the suburbs, It's a little different.
Living the dream, and it all came full circle,
That's right, yeah.
Well, Kevin, thanks for coming on the show. It's really nice to meet you, and excited to see you the rest of the way.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. That was fun.
No problem, man.
Cool. Didn't mean to interrupt the game for you. No.